love sweet God magnet. Love just a time you don't grab it.
Welcome to Lobster Magnet and Friends. There goes Captain Crunch. So I tried an experiment last week. I had two birds. I made videos of the birds. Generally, you guys seemed like you hated it. So, you know what? I was only watching that bird for a week. No more birdie reviews. Birdie reviews are here to go. It was an experiment. For all intents and purposes, a failed experiment. Maybe someday I'll figure out a way to pull off a JonTron and figure out a way to naturally integrate Captain Crunch into content I do. But that day is not today. But hey, we are here to talk about Season 3, Episode 4 of My Hero Academia, the best episode of the season. This episode was fucking fantastic. 9.5, great episode. Holy motherfucking shit. Then again, I always kind of knew, I was a little bit afraid that, I thought they were going to, rejigger things, because, in Season 2, they did an interesting thing where, the All Might Deku fight, All Might, Bakugo and Deku fight, was, used as, sort of the climax of the season, even though in the manga it happens before everyone else's fights. And I thought they were going to, maybe save the muscular fight, it's the climax of the arc, even though it's one of the earliest things that happens. But nope, they went right into it, and it was amazing. It was really well animated, everything you could want out of My Hero, and it was great to see the season kick off with such a great moment. Well, not kick off, but we're still in its infancy, and technically the two big standout moments for Season 2 were the Todoroki Midoriya fight, and of course the big old brawl with Stain the Hero Killer. So it was really cool to see them come right out of the gate with something like this amazing. And the funny thing about, Deku versus Muscular is that from a choreography standpoint, it's not a super interesting fight. And, Muscular's not a super great villain. He's just sort of like a generic, I'm Mr. Evil Bad Guy, and I like to destroy stuff and be mean. Ah, ha, ha, ha. I'm mean and chaos, and I like to kill people, and I'm bad guy. But what makes it, so much engaging to watch in the animation is, see someone who is kind of, at this point in his career, objectively better than Deku. And Deku doesn't have any crutches to rely on. He doesn't have any other hero, let's see. In the Stain fight, he could rely on, the fact that he had, Ida and, Todoroki as sort of backup support, even though he was outclassed by Stain. And before he had, the fact that it was a school competition, and he had also had other people around during the big UA invasion. So he's alone. He's outmatched with a force that he can't handle. And then, he goes beyond, gets one arm destroyed, then destroys another arm, just smashing the guy again and again until he freaking punches through. And there you go. That's what gets us up in the morning. That's what gets us hyped. That's what makes us excited for to see the incredible spectacle that is, of course, Deku smashing through and kicking ass. And I, for one, was super happy to see this. This was an amazing fight scene, and it was just as good as I thought it would be. So I'm super excited because, as good as this fight scene has been, there's also some other fun stuff that happens during the villain invasion arc. And then, of course, there's the Hideout Raid arc, which is the pinnacle of the series. And I'm sure Bones is not going to spare any expense for that, because that is one of the supreme moments of the series. So I am super waiting for that. My only regret is that I don't have Goro here to get his, fresh, unvarnished reaction to it. But I got a plan. I got a plan. Since he doesn't listen to this, I'm going to tell you my plan. And it's interesting because, you guys are commenting oh, why aren't these reviews more in depth? Blah, blah, blah. And half of the reason why is just me talking alone. Just basically, these are my opinions, blah, blah, blah. And that's not half as engaging or as interesting to me or for you to listen to as versus here's my opinion. Then someone goes back to, well, this is my opinion. And then, there's a little arguing, bickering room and I can push and plead through them. And, that's always more fun for me to do. But, so here's my plan. Since Goro's been taken away by his new girlfriend, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the city one of these days when there's 5 or 6 episodes built up. And I'm going to use my willpower to make him and the girlfriend watch, catch up on those episodes of My Hero Academia. And this is where my real brilliance comes in. I use this as an entry-level drug for the girlfriend because she doesn't really like anime and the manga. And then, My Hero Academia is like the perfect entry drug. And it makes for good content because, like, we've got me and Goro who are like sort of like, the traditional people who are well versed in the shit. And then you got this other person who will watch it without any context. And the question will be, what will their reaction be? Someone who doesn't watch this shit. What will they think? Will they be on board? And then I'll use that as an entry level thing to see if I can drag them into other things as well. And then, when I will achieve peakness if I can sort of like steer them both as like a communal activity to do reviews, and then that'll be great. I can have like one person who, knows this shit, another person who has like no idea, so she can like make like, kind of like really obvious remarks, and it'll be hilarious. That is my dream scenario for this anyway. But it's a plan. It'll probably like activate towards the middle of this month. That's when I'm gonna unleash it upon the world and like slowly use my little finger coercion to get what I want, because I'm a sneaky evil bastard. But speaking of evil bastards, you probably want to hear more about this episode, which was freaking fantastic. My only regret of having this episode is that, which begs an interesting question in terms of, like, why we like reaction cultures, that, like, watching this, this incredible, amazing episode in a vacuum is, like, you want to share it with people, and I think we as human beings are naturally bound to want to share things, and that's sort of like a larger reason why reaction culture is, so big on YouTube, is, like, number one, it's easy to produce. Number two, it's the sort of like communal shared storytelling experience that goes back to like, when we were freaking, cavemen or hunter-gatherers on the Serengeti, where we'd sit around the campfire and just share stories, and that communal bonding experience. And I think that's one of the reasons why, people still like going to the movie theaters, and why, I like going to the movie theaters. You go into this dark place, and you were all there for this like communal cathartic bonding experience, and there's nothing more entertaining than like when you're an audience that's like super into it. So I'm sure some of you are out there seeing Infinity War, and when you're into it and you're like, oh man, this is so good, and that's what happens with a lot of like anime evangelists. I'm probably saying it wrong, where it's like you see this incredible episode, it's like, oh my god, this episode of My Hero Academia was so freaking good that I just want to sing it from the praises and talk to the rest of the world how good this is. Why can't everyone else see how awesome this is? This is like, the peak moment of entertainment. I just want to show this one moment of Midoriya, going beyond, breaking both of his arms just to save this little kid, which, on a surface level is like kind of really cliched and something we've seen before. But, when you got the music, you got the animation, you got the vocal performance, and they all combine to create something more than the greater of their parts, and it's just amazing. And then you want to share it. It's like, why can't the world see this? Why can't everyone else see what I think is so emotionally gripping? This one little episode is more passion and intensity than, most of the Marvel movies. We don't see like Iron Man like crushing his bones to like make his point. Same thing with Captain America. Even though it would be a really good Captain America story beat, there are Captain America storyboard stories where he, it goes that far. But seeing Deku outmatched and then still go beyond and literally destroy and mangle his own goddamn arm just to prove a point, just to save this one little kid to rise above and beyond. It's like, yeah, fuck yeah, this is what gets me up in the morning. This is what adds the, excitement and enjoyment for my mundane life, to see this little boy struggle against this oppressive foe who is far more superior to him in every way, and destroy his body just to prove his point. This is what gets me hyped. Fuck those American cartoons. You'll never see like the Justice League, or God, there are no more action cartoons that I can even draw a parallel. Okay, this is a stretch, but on the Star versus the Forces of Evil, I guess it's kind of an action cartoon, or no, Adventure Time. You won't see Finn like break his bones, although that's more of a comedy. That doesn't really feel apt either. It's sad that like there's no more like animated. I don't know. I guess Voltron. On Voltron, Netflix, Defenders of the Universe, you won't see Lance bust his freaking arm to defeat the Muscular Man. But yeah, 9.5, great episode. Good old fun, amazing shit, and better shit to come. And hopefully, I'll be able to use my, Shigaraki evil planning to drag Goro in to see it. But this is a great episode. Freaking loved it. And yeah, thanks for hanging out with me. And remember, lobsters and tennis, but don't you grab it.
Lobsters made of lights.